I'm going to see you in Vegas soon, Carl.
Yeah, we're going to be in Vegas.
I know. It's going to be great.
So this is a dev intersection, right?
Yeah. I'm going to be doing on the AI platform. I'm talking about quantum.
I'm talking about Blazor. Boring stuff.
I'm not talking about anything. Nobody wants to hear me.
Dwayne, join us in Vegas.
Dwayne, you got to just come, all right?
I do.
Got to just come to Vegas.
Hey,
we'll take you out to Texas Day, Brazil, and feed you full of beef.
Do you think somebody there might be interested in talking about security?
Probably not. Security is kind of a dead topic, isn't
There's
it?
a lot of Microsoft people there, and right now they don't want to talk about security.
Nobody wants to talk. Developers hate security. It gets in the way of progress. Hey guys, what's up?
Hey Carl, how you doing?
Hey Carl.
Good, Patrick. How are you, Dwayne?
I'm great. How are you?
How are your passwords?
Super strong.
Oh, really?
Being tested every day.
Being tested every day. Yeah. I'll tell you, my password strategy at this point is I let a password manager manage all my passwords.
Yeah, me too.
And I make them all 30 characters or greater. Uppers, lowers, symbols.
Sometimes I have to sign up for something and LastPass isn't installed on my phone, or it's kind of a pain to use. So I'll just use a stand-in password, and then I'll go on my PC.
Yep.
And in the browser, LastPass will update it. Yeah.
Do you know what my stand-in password usually is?
Chocolate.
I have a certain set of skills.
Are you serious? You're divulging your stand-in password?
No.
So what I do when I need a stand-in password is I sit back and I just do stream of consciousness and come with 3 to 4 things. And so it'll be like laptop, pine tree, nunchuck, window. Just 4 random words and a couple of numbers.
It's kind of like CompuServe passwords.
That's right.
Just my God. CompuServe. Yeah. And 99% of the listeners have
everybody
no idea
under 40 is going, what? The hell are they talking about? CompuServe.
So passwords are still with us, and there's been efforts to get rid of them, and they failed. But there was recently a publish of the 2022, like how fast a password falls to a specific hashing array.
Right.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So I first saw somebody shared this infographic on Facebook, and I copied it into our Slack channel, our back channel, and you guys commented on it. It's the time it takes a hacker to brute force your password in 2022.
So there's some assumptions built in. So one is that the hacker's got a very high-end video card.
Well, first of all, let's just tell everybody what it says.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's the number of characters goes from 4 to 18. And if the number of characters is 4 and it's numbers only, instantly we can brute force your
basically instantly.
Yes. And in fact, across the y-axis you have the number of characters, and across the x-axis you have number of characters, numbers only, lowercase letters, uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, uppercase, lowercase letters, and symbols. So 4, 5, and 6 all the way across the board instantly.
For a 4-character and a 5-character.
And a 6-character password.
Which is new, because in 2020, it took 5 seconds for the last column with 6 characters.
Right. So numbers only is instantly all the way up to 11 characters. Lowercase letters instantly all the way up to 8 characters. And then you have this second category, which is, 2 seconds to 3 weeks, it looks like. Or even 5 months. This is the red. And, over on the right, numbers, uppercase letters, lowercase letters, and symbols from 7 to 11 characters. So 7 characters, 31 seconds, 8 characters, 39 minutes. All right, you get the idea. All the way up to 18 characters with numbers, upper and lowercase letters, and symbols. They're saying it's going to take 438
trillion years.
Trillion years.
Yeah. So let's break it down for a second. Let's just go to 8-character passwords.
Good Lord.
Just going from numbers to numbers, upper, lower, letters, and symbols brings you from instant, like a second, to 39 minutes. So all these sites and systems that say, well, you have to have a symbol, you have to have a number, you have to have a letter, they're well-meaning, and there's an argument that it does increase the security of the system, and it does.
Yep.
But you find the much bigger benefit by going with longer passwords. Longer passwords that are not in a password dictionary is the key. So if you go with moderate, variability in character set, number, upper, lower, and numbers, and a longer password, 12 characters, you're already in the 200-year range.
Is that accurate, though?
Dwayne, let's talk about what this represents.
Well, yeah. So I say it's no in a couple different tongue-in-cheek things. First off, 200 years, we're never going to get a better video card. These numbers came down over 2 years. So if we were to crack for the next 200 years with only this technology this year, yes, I get it. It would take 200 years. But on top of that, there's a lot of complexity in passwords themselves and what this actually means. So a password, when you put a password into a system, typically that password you type is what's called clear text. That's the password. And the password then goes through a trapdoor function, if you will, what's called a hash, and becomes something that's a really long set of numbers and symbols and that sort of stuff. That's not your password, but when you run your password through a mathematical algorithm, becomes equal to your password.
We talked about hashes before. It's a one-way encryption. You can't take the hash code and decrypt it. You can't get the original back, but
you can brute force it.
But if it's one way, so that if you take the same password and hash it multiple times, the hash code will be exactly the same. So that's how they can compare what you typed in versus the hash code stored in the database, for example.
Yeah. So if my password is 4 A's, it's like A.
How did you know my password?
Right? Wait, what is it? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
4 A's.
That's the worst password ever. It's the same as my luggage. So if you take your password and let's say it's, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
And then we're guessing the passwords. We're brute forcing, like this article's talking about. They're going to take 11111 and hash it down and see whether it matches. No, 11112 doesn't match. 1113, and that's how the brute forcing is going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So the time it takes to do that is the time it takes your video card to run that number 11111 or 11112 through the hash algorithm.
Yeah.
In this particular article, they're talking about the most simple, very quick hash you possibly could find, which is what's called an MD5 hash.
Which is not used most places now.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're using MD5, it's either salted and that sort of stuff. So you wouldn't ever have just a raw MD5 hash. So these numbers are a little bit
We did talk
inflated.
about this, but I don't have the reference on top of my head. So you can look up on the Googles or the internets, salting a password hash.
So, salting hash. And after you get by all of the diners.
Right.
You'll
just don't travel to Russia if you're salting hash.
Oh my God.
I thought we were going to hold off on the Russian-Ukraine stuff till later. So although these charts are very interesting, and because they're comparing apples to apples, like 2 years ago they showed a chart, and this year they showed a chart, and they show the increase in cracking speed based on the same algorithm. They talk in the article about a RTX 3090, so that's a video card, actually really high-end video card from NVIDIA, that can get something goofy like 69 billion hashes a second. I can tell you at the office, we have a crack cluster that cracks passwords, and we get somewhere around 3 billion hashes a second.
Wow.
But our crack cluster has 20 plus of those same cards.
But we're doing harder hashes.
Exactly. So that's what's misleading about some of these articles is if let's say you're taking your wireless password, it's not just a straight MD5 hash. So if you're trying to crack that, there's a lot more complexity in the algorithm. So it actually takes the card longer to calculate the hash. But needless to say, it's still good to know. Longer passwords are still better.
Okay, but here's the thing. We gave this information, it's based on MD5 hashes, but this is old technology. How do we know when we go buy a shark cage at joesdiscountsharkcages.com and we enter a password, I'll wait for that to sink in. And we enter a password. How do we know that this website isn't using MD5? You know, you don't, right? So
you don't. You're right.
So here's the question. I use LastPass and I generate strong passwords from it, right? And so when you go do that, what is the minimum number of, characters, whether it's numbers, letters, symbols, whatever, that you specify? Sometimes the websites will say, "Oh no, that's too long."
Yeah. That's the cardinal sin.
It's a cardinal sin. What the hell are you telling me? It's too long.
So it
agree
gets,
100%.
Let's talk about another thing that makes this misleading, because this is a great chart and it gets the conversation going. But there are passwords that are 14 characters long that consist of numbers, upper and lower letters. And according to this chart, it's 64,000 years. The problem is, if they're in the dictionary that the hacker is using, that's instant.
Well, that's a good point too.
Yeah, that is a good point.
So the password dictionary question, because the first thing we do every time we go after a password is run it against a 5 billion word dictionary made up of passwords scraped from all the breaches around the world.
But what's the chance if you have a random password made up of random?
Then you're okay. But if it's a lyric from a song,
right?
If it's "I love you," if it's one of those simple passwords, like, you know what, my password's not 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. It's that twice.
My dog has fleas! Exclamation point.
Yeah, it's also in there.
So
it's in there.
Mine's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9.
Oh, hey,
never gonna have. Never gonna. According to this, it'll take forever.
So there's a lot of factors here.
Yeah.
Well,
no,
anyway, to answer my own question, I use a minimum of 32 characters that are all random from a password generator. And if I have to lower that because the stupid website programmers, see, I blame the programmers in all these things.
We all do.
Whenever there's a problem on the web, some freaking programmer is to blame. And
allocate the string. That's your job.
Yeah.
Allocate the string.
You had one job. Okay,
string
you had a million
monkey.
jobs, but you failed at one of them.
You failed at the one I care about, so you failed.
Right. I don't to tell me that, your password can only be 15 characters. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Shut the front door.
Well, it's funny. Patrick and I have actually recommended to customers, if they're using like bank, financial sites, that sort of stuff that require short like, oh, hey, you can only have 10 characters. Oh, hey, you can only have 12. We recommend they don't use the site anymore. Switch their business to somebody else who's worried about security. And
you know what? Is it your responsibility to notify them and say your password policy is bull crap?
I don't think they'd listen to you.
Yeah, right. You're probably right.
Yeah.
They should be listening to Security This Week at securitysthisweek.com and wherever podcasts are available.
Wherever podcasts are sold.
So there's been many efforts to kill the password. And they're still continuing. There's a Wired magazine article about the FIDO, Fast Identification Organization, who's trying to kill passwords. And their latest idea is to just accept the fact that people's phones are their identity and tie identity to the fact that you have someone's phone.
So I can tell you. Well, yeah, I know, but I can tell you. So my Microsoft password, for example, if I go to log into a Microsoft site, mine's entirely passwordless. So I don't use, like, you can now with Microsoft, with your online personality and my Xbox Live, and my Hotmail account, I can entirely switch over to passwordless, where it literally comes to my phone and says, hey, we put a number on the screen and that number showed up on your phone.
Use an authenticator app.
Yeah, which is awesome.
I love it.
Yeah. The other interesting thing is one of the ways people bypass that is they'll continue to try and log in as you, and it'll just keep popping up. And eventually they're hoping you'll click OK just to get the box to go away. With the Microsoft one, because you have to choose the right number, it gets really hard to be like, you can't just con somebody into clicking the right number. So it's good. I think they're moving in the right direction.
So I don't think that it's very smart, Patrick, to
I agree.
Kill passwords and make them reliant on phones, because there is a large populace of the world populace that doesn't have phones and can't afford them and can barely afford a hand-me-down laptop with dial-up internet access right? I mean, you can't do that to these people.
I don't say this cavalierly, but I'm going to say this, realistically. The people who are going to adopt these things don't care if you don't have a phone. If you don't have a phone, you're not their consumer. And so,
well, that's okay. That's true, but what they're saying is death of the password. We want to kill passwords. In other words, nobody gets to use a password anymore.
Yeah,
I think that's smart.
Well, I think we're a long ways away from that, and they've been talking about it forever. I think that ultimately there'll be some technological solution that maybe it'll have to be post-poverty, as you point out. But if you had something like your heart rate monitor and something built into your heart rate monitor that had a geolocator, and then you had a couple of other devices on you, and they together verified that you are you and you are where you're supposed to be to log into this thing, and then just suddenly unlocked it. And that's the only way I can think that we would be able to make it safe and effortless. Yeah. Because the only way you're going to get rid of passwords is if you make it effortless, where like a door at a supermarket, I walk in front of it, it opens. But now
that's awfully convenient for you, Patrick.
It is convenient, right? But there are ways, and I'm not saying it's coming anytime soon. I think that when we have the hardware, like if I have a device I put on my wrist to monitor my heart rate and one of those things, taking it off my wrist will interrupt the stream, and therefore I'm unauthenticated. If I authenticate to that device, then my presence with that device would say that I'm still here, and therefore that device might be a surrogate for authentication. There's lots of problems with it. It's got a lot that's got to be worked out with it, but I think that's where the vision is going to eventually land.
Right.
With multiple forms of authentication to prevent the person from having to do something explicit. What Dwayne does with his authenticator is probably less convenient than using a password manager.
Probably, yeah. Unless you constantly have your phone by your side and you pick it up and it says,
even then, you got to go open up the authenticator, figure out like which. It's not like there's one authenticator to rule them all.
Usually they notify you though. Usually you log in, you say, hey, they say, hey, check your phone. You look at your phone and it's got a notification.
Yeah, it pops right up. They try and make it easy.
They do. For better or for worse. All right. So let's talk about ransomware and Russia and all those great things that happened this week. Let's talk
Russia,
about.
We haven't talked about them in a long time.
I know, it's been a minute, right? So, Conti. Let's talk about the ransomware source code that was leaked.
Oh, they released a new version. A year more recent has been released, and
so somebody leaked it.
Yeah,
he's the same guy that leaked everything else.
Wait, I love this too. So Conti, this is the ransomware group that sided with Russia and whatnot, and a Ukraine security researcher. What I love about this is my image of now the Ukraine people. Like, this guy's sitting at his laptop, breaks into a ransomware group, takes all the latest code and puts it out on the web, goes out and protects his neighborhood, comes back in. It's awesome. It's like they're like superheroes, still doing the day job, but then go out and protect the country, which is impressive.
Speaking about superheroes, I mean, it's been a month now since Russia invaded Ukraine, and they still haven't taken the major cities. Yeah. Like I said before, the Ewoks have come out of the woods. Yes, there's been loss, but I'm astounded and heartened by the willingness to defend their country that the Ukrainians have. So glory to Ukraine. Love it.
Woohoo! Slava Ukraine.
Slava Ukraine.
So this is interesting. This is the entire source code for the Conti, which is a very successful piece of ransomware.
And is Conti a Russian hacker group, or is it inside Russia?
They declared their side for Russia, so it's widely suspected they're Russian.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember, if I remember correctly, a lot of what they actually, I saw an article this week. Actually, I didn't put in the group where they talk about how much people get paid, because all of the messages have been leaked from Conti.
Right.
So they actually talk about how much a normal researcher makes in there, and how much how much the high end researcher makes in there, and how much the ransomware, the OSINT people make in there, and it's actually not that much money.
Yeah, somebody, the owner of the network is keeping it. It's a capitalist thing.
Oh yeah, no. What's interesting is they say the most of the people are making about $1,500 a month to be in the ransomware group, and I want to say there's like 300 or 400 people in the group. they have like 90 people in payroll or something goofy like that. It was weird to see the stats.
I'll pay them not to do it.
Right. But they were saying in Russia, which is where they are, a normal monthly salary is like $450. So you offer them $1,500 to sit and send out software, living pretty well.
Either there's an oligarch somewhere making an awful lot of money, or this is literally sponsored by the Russian government.
It could be both.
And they're government employees. It could. Why not both?
That's not mutually
go to my civil
exclusive.
servant job in the Conti ransomware group.
Oh my God. The Russian oligarchs are panicking right now. Their bank accounts are draining.
Yeah.
Hey, my bank account is draining, but you don't see me flocking to these things. All right. So speaking of other leaks, should we talk about that tweet from the VX Underground about some leaks of Microsoft Cortana source code? What the hell is that?
That was interesting. Okay, so there's a new kid, and I say kid, we're going to talk about this. There's a new kid on the block, Lapsus, which is they have been making headlines for the past couple of weeks now. They were in the middle of the NVIDIA hack. They were in the middle of a Microsoft hack.
Okta.
They're the ones that hacked into Okta, which is, for those of you who don't use Okta, Okta is a massive, authentication provider.
We'll talk more about Okta later.
Yeah, and we'll talk about all that stuff. So the VX Underground had posted, information screenshots of internal Microsoft dev repos, and it was Cortana and a bunch of other ones, which was. Like I said, this is that Lapsus group. They've been grabbing headlines left and right.
So before we reveal more that we know about these guys, I think they got into Okta, and then that got them in everywhere else.
It's possible. So the Okta thing happened in January, so they've had 2 months.
Yeah. So I think NVIDIA fell from that. I think Microsoft fell from that, and so we're not talking about somebody who's hacked all these individual systems, though there is some impressiveness about it. Mm-hmm. Except for the fact that they just got arrested.
Oh, hey, you're
yeah. About an hour ago, the news came in the UK that they arrested 7 people, including the 16-year-old boy in Oxford, England, who's believed to be the ringleader.
Oh, that's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, hey, I need to speak to the ringleader. Yeah, he hasn't come home from school yet.
He's grounded.
He's grounded.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Oliver Wendell Jones in Bloom County. Remember that? The little hacker kid. Oh, I'm old.
So
sorry.
that was actually just announced on, I think it was BBC. Was it BBC? Yeah, it was on BBC that and they interviewed this kid's parents, and they ultimately arrested 7. I think it was 7 people
up to 21 years of age.
Yeah, who were 16 up to 21 years of age, and they interviewed this kid's parents, and they said, you know what, we tried to keep him off the computer. We figured he was just busy playing video games.
Oh, every parent in the world whose kid locks themselves in the room for hours and plays video games is worried right now.
Right.
They should be.
Are they dropping global networks?
Now that I think about it, my parents should have been worried about what I was doing when I was a kid too.
I guarantee they did.
It was nothing like this, however.
Entirely different.
Do you know what frameworks your kids are using?
Got frameworks?
I swear, Mom, it's just drugs. It better be.
It better be. I can't believe kids today are hacking into corporate accounts and screwing things up. While back in my day, we just dropped acid and we were happy.
I think we just lost our PG rating. I think we just went to R rating again.
Sorry, kids. Don't do drugs, kids.
Don't do drugs.
It's really and truly.
Don't hack Microsoft, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't have that.
And if you're going to hack for the forces of good.
Yes.
Listen to Security This Week at securitysthisweek.com and wherever podcasts are found.
Oh, my God. The hits. Now, okay, 20 years from now, this kid's going to be running some global cybersecurity consortium, and we're going to
Patrick Dwayne and Carl told me to hack. Okay. So we got all that Okta stuff and Lapsus. They're going to jail. Fine. What's next? Greece.
So I think next.
Oh yeah.
What's that?
Greece.
Greece
is
That's
the word.
Hey,
oh wait.
Hey, this is the first time in I think history that I've ever seen someone affect snail mail with ransomware. It's impressive.
That is
like you expect email to be shut down by ransomware, and somebody figured out how to shut down the actual mail.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's impressive. Yeah, I didn't think I'd ever see that.
Kids, for the millennials, snail mail means mail that you used to
quit.
write letters with a thing called a pen on
It's the person
paper.
in non-brown shorts that comes and delivers things.
And you would use this thing called a stamp and put it in the
use your
mailbox.
Ask your grandparents.
Ask your grandparents. I'm sorry.
Can you show me a letter? So Greece's public postal service is offline due to a ransomware attack.
Wow. So
unfortunately, they got hit and nobody gets mail.
Now they didn't mention a ransom. It looks like they're probably just going to restore from backups and stuff.
You know,
so
they are examining more than 2,500 computers. Ouch. So that'll take a little bit of time. Nobody's getting any.
That's a lot of euros to eat while you're waiting for that to come back.
You're making me hungry.
I know. I love Greek food.
That's good.
Oh my God, yeah.
What else we got?
Yeah, what else we got?
All right. Oh, you know what? One of the things I wanted to throw in here, not just the doom and gloom, not just the world burning down, although I think a lot of that stuff's awesome.
You're a fan. We know.
I am a fan. 2 thumbs up would recommend. But actually, we did. There's some recommendations from the White House. So from the intelligence that they're seeing, they think there's a lot of reason to believe, and I'm being very careful here, that there may be imminent cybersecurity concerns around Russia potentially going on the offensive.
Do you guys remember the good old days when the threat levels were about bombs and blowing up buildings and
Right.
I much prefer this. This is good for business. So we're seeing a big change here. This current administration has decided to start sharing the conclusions and the information from our intelligence services. We first saw it being used when the playbook of Russia was basically revealed. Oh, they're going to do this. They're saying this, but they're going to do this. And then it came true. And so I think it's going to restore kind of faith in the fact that we do have really good intelligence services, and we just had people who weren't really following them. And now we're following them, which is good.
Yeah. And I
expect this to continue, that we'll get a lot more heads up from the government. At least I hope.
We've always been on the forefront from the United States, and most of the Five Eyes on the forefront of cybersecurity. A lot of times these things weren't announced.
Right.
Because
they didn't want to endanger their sources. And now you get General
or
Nakasone.
Their own ways into other networks. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we get General Nakasone in Cyber Command, and he is kicking ass and taking names. So my bet is that we're doing so much more proactive stuff that they feel that they're not going to jeopardize their sources by releasing the stuff. So it's a good sign.
Yeah, and I'd say let's run down this list, because these are all, honestly, these are really good recommendations, regardless of getting attacked.
So first one, don't do drugs.
First one, don't do drugs ever, unless they're prescribed drugs. Then do those.
I would even I'd be concerned about those.
So number one, mandate the use of multi-factor authentication on your systems to make it harder for attackers to get in your system. Honestly, anywhere you can use multi-factor authentication, it should be used. Microsoft and Google have said it'll mitigate 99.9% of attacks or something goofy like that. They're the Lysol of attacks. If you use you use multi-factor.
It's a new firewall.
Right. Deploy modern security tools on your computer and computers and devices, continuously looking for and mitigating threats.
In other words, replace Kaspersky with something like Defender.
100%. I actually got asked that this week. Somebody had asked me. They were like, "Hey, I got Kaspersky and it's got a year left on the license. Should I?" And I was like, "You should.
Throw it away.
Throw it away." If you're worried about paying for something new, just use Windows Defender for now. But
I think it's actually better than anything you could pay for, probably.
It is. Yeah, Defender's really good. I'm a fanboy. Number 3, check with your cybersecurity professionals To make sure that your systems are patched and protected against all known vulnerabilities, change passwords across your networks so that previously stolen passwords can't be used by malicious
and
actors.
ex-employees. So one of the things about the Lapsus hack is they were paying people online to give them credentials. And one of the things that they say they got access to a Okta support engineer's laptop for 5 days. And so I don't know if that's because somebody left the laptop at a repair shop or something, or somebody was willing to give them like VPN access to their laptop while they're on vacation, or how that worked out. But that's a problem. You need to make sure, disgruntled employees and the like can't, get into your systems.
We need to go back to Okta. There's a couple of stories that we haven't talked about. The Okta hack putting thousands of businesses on high alert, and also their investigation of a January 2022 compromise.
Okta has 15,000 customers, including Microsoft, NVIDIA, et cetera. And about 2.5% are believed to have been accessible to the bad 16-year-old and his friends for data like that a support engineer would have. So not like hardcore files, but they were able to see like support tickets and stuff. And so from that, they can glean enough information to then go and launch a different attack. And that's, I think, how they got to NVIDIA and to Microsoft.
So Okta, for those who don't know, we kind of touched on this before, is sort of like a single sign-on provider of authentication credentials. Is that a good way to describe them?
Yeah, it's a good way to describe them.
Yeah, so, and as we've talked about before, a single sign-on is not a good idea anymore. In other words, when, if a hacker gets your, let's say, password that you use for every service, well, then now they have access to every service.
It's more complicated. You're right, but we want to move towards zero trust. The problem is zero trust is a whole new lifestyle, it's kind of like saying, we should use renewables.
It's the Patrick Hines security lifestyle.
That's right.
Zero trust.
I trust no one.
I trust nobody.
A gun in every hand. Yeah.
Nothing is convenient for me. I have
trust my rifle.
Multiple levels of security, including physical security, which means if you come to my house, you can get in, but you can't get out.
That's right. And I will buy less dog food for the next week.
Wow.
Shoot him.
I didn't say why. You're concluding things that are not in evidence.
I don't know.
I just got to say, Pat, I'm kidding you, but zero trust is a good idea.
Yeah. Yes. And so the problem is, it's kind of like we all agree we should get off of, oil and that kind of stuff, but it takes a while. And for most organizations, getting to zero trust is going to take a while. So Okta provides a good solution. They do provide a great system. Like everyone else, they've had problems. Zoom had problems, and then they fixed them, and now they're much more secure. iPhones had horrible problems in the beginning, and now they're probably the most secure wireless platform out there. So I don't think Okta is like out of the woods completely, but they're going to be okay. Yeah. And some organizations are going to be hard, crunchy shells with soft, gooey insides for a long time to come.
Well, and with Okta actually doesn't man all of the support themselves. So they actually use sub-processors. So this particular, I know, right? They sub it out. So this particular sub-processor is a company called Sitel. And they were the ones who had the
their guy was the one.
Right. It wasn't an employee directly at Okta. It was one of their sub-processors. So that may mean that there may need to be more, stronger either, I don't know, checks or, regulations around using sub-processors, especially if you're managing this type of data.
The whole idea of zero trust is nothing should trust anything. Everything should be authenticated. Everything should be validated. And so Okta gets you inside the network, and then it's up to you where the other, the next hoop to jump through is. But it's a way to get in from the outside.
Okay. What's next?
So wait, I want to go back to this White House list because there's more things.
Oh, okay.
All right. So talk to your cybersecurity professional. Yes. Back up your data. Ensure that offline backups are beyond the reach of malicious actors. This also should be stressed. This week, there was a piece of ransomware, and I'm sure that the listeners will correct me if I'm wrong, called Deadbolt. And Deadbolt was a piece of ransomware that only targeted backups. Doesn't do any other damage. It just blows away your backup.
Because no one looks at those.
Wow.
Right. So honestly, buying an 8 terabyte USB drive and copying everything over to it and unplugging it and keeping it on the shelf for a month and then plugging it and copying everything back over is probably a good way to go.
Well, and let's say this. If you don't test your backups, you don't have backups.
Right.
Yep. 100%.
You have to restore them occasionally.
Yeah.
You don't have to restore them to production, but restore them somewhere.
I mean, some of the best organizations literally do go into a failover mode like once a month.
Chaos Monkey.
Yep.
Oh, that's a whole nother show.
That is a whole nother show. Run exercises and drill your emergency plans. This is where, test your backups, make sure you know what's going to happen in an attack or a situation. Encrypt your data so it can't be used if it's stolen. Before the ransomware encrypts it, you should encrypt it first. Educate your employees, common tactics over email and websites. Still, we see the number one way to break into an organization is either social engineering or phishing. And then obviously engage proactively with your local FBI field office if you have been breached, etc., so that they can keep tabs on what's going on.
All right. Should we talk about deepfakes?
Deepfakes.
Because
deepfakes are
this
awesome.
story is awesome. Dwayne, I hate to steal your thunder, but I am in awe of the quality of this fake. And it's essentially a deep fake video shared on Twitter appearing to show Russian President Vladimir Putin declaring peace. And it's a fake. So,
yeah, that one is much better than the Zelensky one.
Yeah, the Zelensky one is crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen them do it with Obama as well. I mean, it's amazing what you can like. I always now imagine you could go and do pretty much anything on camera and go, yeah, that's a deep fake, because they are so realistic looking at this point.
Well, there's also different levels. So, for example, there was an example of one party, and I won't name them even though it'll be obvious, took a video of Nancy Pelosi and slowed it down or sped it up, but they did something to it to manipulate the way things were perceived. And so just speeding up, not changing any of the pixels, but just speeding it up or slowing it down can also be manipulative. So deepfakes, the reason we should talk about this is because this is going to get better and better. This is not going to get worse over time. This is going to get better from Dwayne's perspective, worse from mine and Carl's.
Right? Dwayne, this is awesome.
There's rightly so a massive hate for this technology because of the way it's been used against women, especially, and it's getting more attention because it's being used in the political realm and the theft realm, but it also absolutely has been used to horrific ends against women most effectively. And we need better technology to detect this. We need better ways to out this and show that it's a defect. I think eventually the networks are going to have to check all the video that they do to look for telltale signs. And I think AI is the only way they're going to be able to do that.
You know what's awesome though lately as a developer? Anytime there's a bug in my app or I can't figure something out, I say, frickin' Putin. It's Putin.
It's good.
It's Russia.
Yeah, right?
Russia is screwing me up. And this is across the board. Like I see this with everybody who's some technical glitch. It's probably Russian hackers.
Not today, Russia. Not today.
So my wife does DoorDash, and she just likes to go out and drive around. So she got this DoorDash thing, and I went out with her yesterday and there's like nothing. And today she learned that there was a glitch in the program. And I'm immediately thinking, freaking Russian hackers.
Russia.
Now, what would be funny is if next week we find out that DoorDash apps have been hacked.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But apparently all the drivers had problems yesterday with it.
That's an interesting thing to go on the other side of that and actually like drive for Uber or Lyft or do DoorDash or something like that. You kind of get a lot of insight.
It's fun actually. And speaking of this, the TSA story is kind of interesting.
I think we have to finish up with that.
We got to finish up with this Politico article.
Yeah, the TSA thing's interesting in that I think the TSA is just the airport guys.
They're not. They're not. That's the whole point. The TSA also is in charge of pipelines. They're part of Homeland Security. They got a lot. We see them at the airports. That's their public face. But the whole article is talking about the fact that the TSA is in charge of pipeline safety, and they're really falling down on the job. Shortages of people. I think one of the quotes said that what they're doing, their policies are more appropriate for securing a PC than a server infrastructure or an actual pipeline infrastructure. And so the good news is it's called out, so it'll probably be addressed very quickly. But there's a lot of things that can be attacked. The attacker only needs to be right once to do damage. The defender has to be right everywhere.
You know, after 9/11, when the TSA went into high alert, you know, confiscating everything, and they still do. But we at the Mondays group called TSA, stands for Toothpaste Stealing Assholes.
I just had it. Well, it's funny. Patrick and I were just traveling, and I had a tube of toothpaste stolen. Taken. I for some reason jammed an entire brand new toothpaste in there.
Welcome to the no-fly list, Wayne.
Yeah.
Should be on it anyway.
You mean welcome as in welcome back? Because I've been on that list, and that's no
only
fun.
For certain countries.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's another story for another day.
That's right. Maybe in Vegas.
Maybe in Vegas.
So I can imagine Dwayne going through TSA and they're like, pull over, take off your clothes and whatever. We're going to strip. So he goes, you don't want to mess with me. Your bank account number is blah, 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 blah. And here's your social security number.
Have a nice day, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you know your thermostat's turned up to 95 degrees?
Oh, man. Remember what we said about ethical hacking, kids? Don't do drugs and always hack for the good guys.
Yes.
That's
right. Do we even want to talk about this last stupid story of Grimes?
We'll just say this. The person who had kids with Elon Musk is saying stupid things that either make her stupid and a liar or stupid and a criminal.
Not necessarily mutually exclusive.
That's true.
Right. If you're going to DDoS a site on the internet, you probably shouldn't say, hey, yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since it's illegal.
We're not even going to link to it. You're going to have to Google that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That's a show. And
all right. Thanks. Good talking to you.
Yeah. Good talking to you. Fun. Good hacking. And we'll see you next week.